Welcome back to my studio. For those of you that know me, my name is Jonathan the Painter. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is still Jonathan the Painter. The other day, yesterday I think it was, we started to work on our colorful calendar to help conquer cancer. And we're going to continue that workshop. I'm doing some quicker videos on Instagram, but I figure I'm going to post the longer format videos here on Art Reframed. And it's a chance just to kind of follow along, stream of consciousness, or just kind of what I'm thinking or how I'm laying some of these paintings out. But really a chance for you guys to be engaged with and have some participation in our colorful calendar to help conquer cancer. You can remember the other day, a couple days ago, I put this together. This is going to be our roadmap for our 2025 colorful calendar. We've done this every year for the past 8 or so years at conquercancer.org to help raise money for patients facing economic hardships at Boston Medical Center. A lot of homeless patients there being treated for cancer. And sometimes we're getting in for cancer treatment isn't the hardest thing in their day. And also the Pediatric Cancer Center at Mass General Hospital, the pediatric oncology has a wish list for the holidays. And they put it together for the kids there. And at conquercancer.org, we try to go in and we try to knock off as many things on that list as we can. We really try to take care of the whole list if we can. And so we've been using this calendar and it's been gaining momentum each year. And I thought maybe this would be a nice chance to have some audience engagement, some engagement from my extended studio family, people that come in throughout the year, people that write in and touch base with us, people we see at our Cancer Garden of Hope event, which was a couple weeks ago. And we've sort of put together this roadmap with 12 words, positive words. And hope is going to be the word of January. And so we started off with a background. We painted and we decided, sort of sometimes you don't know how much time you're going to have. I started painting when my dad was diagnosed with late-stage cancer, and I would take him to treatment, and we'd be in the waiting room, and he didn't know if he had 10 minutes or an hour or 3 hours, or if it was chemotherapy or radiation or whatever it was. It was just nice to be able to be creative and scale it in a different format, so that if I'm sitting in a waiting room as opposed to being in a patient room or being at the house, I can kind of do some different things and have art as a different outlet for me. So I did a small sunflower, which was awesome. And I think when I did it yesterday, I said, I know this couple that just got married, it was their 1-year anniversary, and sunflowers was in the theme of their wedding and definitely resonated with them. And I was like, I'm pretty sure they're going to come back and get it. And lo and behold, they did come back and get that sunflower. So I don't have that one, but this was the companion piece that went with it. The 2025 January is going to be our kickoff. And you can kind of see, I did the sketch yesterday just to see the thought process. And I think, I'll hold the sketch up a little bit if that helps. I think that maybe putting a book in, I had these old milk bottles. That's sort of what started to inspire this, was these old milk bottles that I had found. There's a great thrift store right around the corner from me called Second Glance. It helps support the Open Door Food Pantry. Awesome, 2 awesome places. And they had these it came in a little set of 4, but I just kind of liked how this milk bottle theme was nostalgic to me and just was a great little vessel for flowers, and where I usually do a bunch of flowers in a vase. I thought maybe these individual ones would be a nice departure from what I typically do, a good challenge, and fun and colorful. And I think hopeful for January of 2025. I can't believe it's going to be 2025. So we did our first background color, and we did the same background on all these. We did cerulean blue hue, titanium white, and then a little bit of this opera rose, this pink color. Just mixed it all together and just gave ourselves the relaxing feeling of moving paint back and forth. It's really, I'll take a little bit of we can re-demonstrate and revisit this with a little bit of white and a little bit of cerulean blue. And if we wanted to, we'll throw a little bit of the opera rose in there too, and then it's just the relaxation of mixing the white in with the blue, seeing the paint just move across the page. it sounds nice. There's just something, it's not as maybe as satisfying as waves crashing from an environmental sense, but there's just something very relaxing about hearing and feeling the brush move across the page. You could add a little more white if we want to lighten anything up. You could add it right to the brush. You could add it right to the canvas. You could put it on a palette. This is your show. This is when you're painting, it's really your show. And it's the objective here is to have fun. That's partly why I'm doing these videos, is to make art a little more approachable. For me, I think that goes a long way, because then I feel like it's not as intimidating. Even when I start by writing a word, that's why we started by writing the word hope on this canvas. The first thing we did, we just wrote it. You could write it again with the brush, with the tube of paint, with markers or crayons or whatever you feel like. And it disengages us from the idea that this is going to be something particular, and I think hopefully it gives us some comfort that there's no right or wrong answer here. That the hardest thing to do is really to start and just to keep it going, and then it's good to have kind of like a reference, a guideline, a game plan for going into it. But then it's important to know that because there's no right or wrong answer, any direction you take it, as long as it's making you happy to do it, it's going to be such a satisfying experience. And that's what's going to lock in these paintings. That's what's going to drive with the paint, is the memory of getting to do it. Getting to paint a January calendar painting, or getting to get together with friends, a group of friends, and paint and create something, be a part of a show, or just talk and share thoughts about the world. And art can kind of unlock a lot of those connections. And it can also preserve those moments, because you're going to look at these paintings, and I look at a lot of these paintings now. I look at all of them throughout my studio, and I remember how I was feeling when I painted it, why I painted, who I painted it for. And that's what's important to me. That's why I paint. That's why I started painting. Well, my dad said he just needed me to stay positive. And this was my way of staying positive and staying connected. And I never let that go. And so now when it feels a little overwhelming or intimidating, or I've got to work outside of my comfort zone, I just kind of take it one phase at a time. So we do our background, and then we can kind of build up off of that. And that's where we have this kind of the sketch. We have our quick sketch, and we have this little reference point. And so let's say I don't even know how many bottles we want to put in, but I like how there's one sitting on the ground, and there's one sitting sort of up on the book here. And so I think let's follow that. Let's follow that pattern and template. And maybe let's put our book in. Let's think, if we were going to have, now that we sort of have our background established more or less, again, subject to change, everything is asterisked, subjects to change and artistic licensure. But until then, let's sort of say ghost in a few things with this white. You could do it with any color you want. We could actually add a few colors. But let's say if we're going to add a book, and we have a spine, let's say here, and maybe it's diminishing back into space. It's nice about this book is it'll kind of act as a little bit of a perspective marker for us and give us a little bit of a time and place or space. And so then it's going to diminish back this way too. So in theory, these are diminishing to points way off in the distance. So even though in reality, if it's a book, the lines are all straight, they're perpendicular to each other. It's kind of how it has to be. But the way our brain interprets it is it diminishes these lines. I don't know, my Siri just went off or something. It diminishes it in the back, and it diminishes it ever so slightly, but it gives it that little extra, that punch of, that book looks, see, something looks off in perspective here. So now I feel like I've got a book that's got a long spine. Well, maybe not. Maybe we need to be a little bit shorter. And this is kind of this is the fun time to play around, because there really isn't a right or wrong answer to this. And we do want to we want to have a little bit of a face on the top of this book here. So let's come across with the back edge, and then over. And see where this lines up. And again, this could dry, and tomorrow or later today, it's early in the morning right now because this is a nice time, nice quiet time to paint and record, I'm finding. And we can come back and we can modify this however we want. But let's say something like this. You know what? In my original painting here, I do like how we're looking a little more down. We are looking a little more down on that book. So let's do that. Let's switch it up. And now even with another color, see, again, this is what's nice, is this starts to build the character, the randomness. Let's go in with a yellow or even a gold. Ooh, let's go in with the gold. And let's say I want it a little over here. Actually, I want my spine over here. So instead of right there. And come a little thicker with that book. And then, see, here's the thing. If this line for the book spine kind of sets up how this face, it's like this line on the spine and this line on the edge of the book are perpendicular. So that's how you can kind of, all right, so this is looking better because now we could see down onto this, I think, a little bit more, right? So then if we start to put our bottles and things like that around this book, and then we put our date, maybe our date goes here. I follow this logic, or might not be logic, but I follow this composition, follow how this is laying out. Let's say our book is something like this now. So here we go. Here's our book. And you can see, I'm not afraid to put these arrows in because this is going to go away, or it's going to provide some texture, some color, something that I never would have had. And my favorite parts, so sometimes people will come in the studio and they'll be like, oh, I love the background underneath, so-and-so, the green line or the motif or something like that. Like, how did you think to do that? I was like, oh, well, I made like 3 mistakes. I'll say mistake. They're not, it's paint, it's art. So we're not making mistakes, but which is like, I navigated my way down this journey and had to find my way through it. And in that process, some things ended up in the painting that I probably wouldn't have necessarily had the vision to put in my painting had I been overthinking it, which is what I normally do. So that's part of my goal in talking with you while I'm painting, is to disengage my own brain, because sometimes that can get in our own way and we'll just overthink it. It's art, there's no right or wrong answer. It's not a real world life problem or anything like that. It's really just a chance to escape, to connect. It's a chance to have fun. It's a chance to make a memory. It's something special. It's a special characteristic of being a human, is to be able to create like this. I think and recognize it. I think it's pretty cool. There's a lot of really neat ways that people do it, I'm finding. One of the things I'm really valuing about traveling, I've always loved that, but even traveling through social media and navigating some of the pitfalls that are there, which I'm sure as overwhelming to you as they are to me. The place can be crazy. And but there's also incredibly inspiring people and stories and moments that are captured really well. And I think that overall allows us collectively to see how much good there is in the world if we just kind of take a deep breath from it and are able to engage the joy, engage the perspective where we can see things and we could see where people are working really hard to overcome the challenges that they're facing, that you're facing, that I'm facing, and we're doing it. Getting back to paint. See, this is where I distract myself. So I'm like, all right, what was I doing? Putting some vases on. So let's sit this top one on here first. This little milk, I'm gonna call it a vase. It's really a milk bottle, like a little mini milk bottle. Side note, I used to have glass milk bottle delivery when I was a kid. That was pretty awesome. I never realized I'd be super nostalgic for that, but alas, here we are, 2024, working on the 2025 calendar. Hard to believe. So it has a little verticals stay vertical. This is kind of like if this was a building, it would be the same thing as it is a milk bottle. Verticals are going to stay vertically. They don't have to, but in my world they are. In my world, they're drawing this, painting this stuff out. And then let's say we've got a little top there. So let's say there's our mini milk bottle. Maybe a little reflection. Again, we're just sketching this in, so or a little what do they call it? Highlight. When the light bounces off the glass. I know there's a better word for it. And then let's add another one. So like let's say right here, it's kind of what we did. Same deal. I think what's nice is once we get this one shape down that we like, and more or less proportions to it, it's kind of like about that tall, kind of about that wide. We'll come into it. And again, we're just sort of sketching this in. And then this one you might see like a little more into it. Might be looking a little more down. I don't know if you could see that from where you guys are. Let me see. Let me just take a look. Gotta step back and. All right. Yeah, it's in the frame there. That's good. All right, so it's two. So there's two. This is resembling what we were working on. See, it's never going to look the same. We're never going to do two of the same things, but I think this gave us a good roadmap to go from the sketch to the single sunflower to the milk bottle vases to the larger January 2025 painting of hope. This is hope. And hope, because the flowers, and then when I asked my mom about hope, and she, like me, automatically thinks the Cancer Garden of Hope on Boston City Hall Plaza. So my family built that and has been built and maintained and has been responsible for planting the flowers and fixing the bricks and installing all the engraved bricks and plaques. One of the bricks on that we put up, there's 1,800 of them, says Olivia at age 4 beat cancer, and so could you. Oh, there's a fly coming around here. And I just think that's awesome. So, oh, hold on one sec. We're just going to take Nana's famous walk spray. Call it walk spray because I don't know where the fly is. Now the fly's gone. Now he's gone. So when we were coming up with the January word for the calendar, hope, and my mom and I both thought the same thing. It's the Cancer Garden of Hope on Boston City Hall Plaza. Our family built that and maintains that for the past 12 years. We plant the flowers, we install these engraved bricks and plaques, and they'll say things like, Olivia at age 4 beat cancer, and so can you. And so it's just such a meaningful place for us, and people being a part of donating for the flowers, donating to be a part of just making sure it stays healthy and strong and hopeful all year round has just been a great source of inspiration and strength for us as a family, and allowed our cancer nonprofit, if anybody is in and around Massachusetts and either can stop at the Cancer Garden of Hope on Boston City Hall Plaza or sees these Conquer Cancer Massachusetts plates around. These are available at the registry, but our nonprofit gets the funds from this plate, and we've donated $1 million. We've raised and donated $1 million. 100% of the money goes into the fight against cancer. Free rides to the hospital, places to stay, support groups, days of hope and healing at hospitals, art classes and workshops that range from me working with individual patients and families to 300 nurses. And it's just knowing that everybody collectively makes such a big difference is it's just really, makes me always, it's a great reminder of how special the world is and how amazing you guys all are. So I really appreciate that, all the generosity and support over the years. And the Garden of Hope is really a huge strength of hope for us. So all that sidetrack just to say, usually I do these, flower bouquets, but what if we broke them up into the individual flowers for the individual gratitude and generosity that we feel towards all the people and all the families over the past 20 years that have helped our Conquer Cancer Coalition grow stronger, have helped our Cancer Garden of Hope grow more hopeful. And this is painting to celebrate that, to celebrate you all. So we have those sort of two vases, but I think we need a few more. So I don't know, do we want to put one more on the book here? I think we might want to put one more on the book here even. So we can do like, let's do one here. And this is all subject to change. So if we don't like it, or if we want to edit it or just see how something looks in another spot, this is our time to do it, just to play around. Because we're just having fun really sketching in color here. I would say above anything else, this is a chance to just sketch with some color and see how things line up. So that's one. We might even, let's put one here. I feel like there could be two more here. One on the end. And then you could even, sometimes I'll do them on the end and then I don't even do the other side. I'll just leave it kind of going off the page, coming onto the page. It's quite a bit bigger than this one though. So let's tone it down a little bit, or either bring it way out closer to us so it actually is closer. But I think that's a little too close. And I think I might want to see the whole thing. So let's see, again, our chance to play around. Let's see if we make it smaller. If we make it smaller and more proportional, that's the word I'm looking for, to this milk bottle that we drew. So that, I like that. That looks nice. So then, do we want to add, we could add one more. I feel like we should add one more. Maybe, how did I draw it in the sketch? Sometimes I just need to go back and refer to my notes. I often come up with an idea and then get so lost in the moment and then forget exactly. Oh yeah, see, I had a couple. Look, I had a couple. I have 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put one more in. I like that. And then I got one on its side. Let's do that too. All right. Good thinking, Jonathan. Other Jonathan who made that note. Jonathan from the past. So let's do one here. This one's going to sit a little in front. That's what's nice, is it gives a little bit of depth when things sit in front or behind, or give each other a little bit of depth or scale. I think that's helpful for the painting and the story of the painting. Right? So like one like this. And this comes a little further down. A little bit in front of this bottle here. All right. So that's good. And then we had one sort of back here, but I think if we're going to lay a bottle down, let's say if the top of it's here, and again, if this is going to be at a certain angle, its corresponding edge will be parallel. In this case. And if it was longer, it would have that slight vanishing point, 2-point perspective off to the horizon, points on the horizon line. But with such a large composition, it's not, you don't really need to worry about that or think about it, or you really never need to think about it. So let's see, we've got this one coming down here, and probably see a little lip on the bottle like that, like so. I feel like maybe it comes out just a little more. Just like that. All right. That works. And then in the back here, let's just give it a little rounded and capture a little bit of that back edge in the bottle. Give it that transparency. That's actually, if we can go back, that's one thing we haven't really done, is come back in with a little back edge on these bottles, because then you realize that it's sitting on the ground or on the book because it's got this back edge to it. So there, I'd say we're off to a good start here. I like this. I think we could roll with this. And then we'll have the 2025. 20, hard to believe. 2025. And this will kind of set the tone for the calendar. This is going to be January. So we're going to put some flowers in. Do you think did I leave enough room for the flowers? So this is my one worry. I did, because there's always room for flowers. So that's the quick thing. But they could be, some of them could droop over, some of them could be any size. This could be a sunflower that, let's see. Let's just throw one in just because. Let's try to gauge it here. And this is, I'm skipping way ahead, because we could also take a little color, yellow, pink, I don't know, some color. Let's go green even, gold. Oh, we have so many good options. Stick to the gold theme because we kind of ghosted the book in with a little bit of that gold. And this is going to want to sit on a table. Like, we're going to want to have I don't know how big of a tabletop. Or so if we come through now with this edge, again, this is just guiding us. This is not, we're not beholden to this. This is not set in stone. It's literally set in paint. The quite opposite of stone. You could paint right over it. So then carry this little bit of a rounded edge through, so our table feels a little less geometric and get a little more organic looking. But you could just as easily do a square edge table with a square line going through. Oh, that might be nicer, actually. Let's think about that. We're either going to do a rounded table edge like this. I like that too. I think the part of it is each one that I do, I'm like, oh, I like that. That would work. And then I'm like, oh, I like that. That would work. A rounded table edge. Let's see if any of my other minds vote on this as we go. Or let's take a little bit of this. And then, or we can come up and over. Let's see if anybody's a preference. I think the round one might win. Let's see, circle gets the square, square gets the circle. Important to stay hydrated. I got this amazing art zine today. My friend made this whole thing, made it by hand. I'm going to go over this. This is going to be an Instagram post at some point, but worth breaking out again to show you. This was from today. Art in every space, combating artist block in little ways! Exclamation mark. This is an awesome guidebook that my friend Savvy put together that has things like, in transportation, in the studio, different ways to look at everyday things in life to give you inspiration and color and joy. And that's what I'm all about. So that made my day. Cheers to that. And one of the things it said, this is why I got into it. One of the things it said in that zine was to make sure to stay hydrated. So I am doing that. I have a little bit of tea, so this might not be like the most hydrating like water. I do have water too. But I like hot tea, and I like hot tea in the morning. And let's not jump ahead of ourselves here. So we've got our tabletop in, and that could be any color we want to choose. It could be multiple colors, and it could change. That could change throughout the course of this painting. It could change throughout the course of its life as a painting. And you could start to allude to it if you want to see more of what it looks like. It's like, all right, I like maybe how this is starting to look, but I think I need a little more information. I think a little bit more knowledge to make a decision, an informed decision here. So I add a little more color in. I'm like, all right, I could see where this yellow tabletop could work here. Could be a nice place setter for all these vases. Also not, and that's the thing. So let's take a break from that. When you start to get stuck on something, I'm looking too much at this. Let's throw a flower in this thing. Let's see how this one up here especially. I think if we just throw like a nice, I usually do it from the tube. We could do it right. Let's go from the brush today. Let's be civilized and work from the brush. Shall we? So let's throw a nice. We're gonna do single. Let's focus on single flowers here. So throw that guy in, and I do like the sunflowers. It's a sunflower themed day, and most days are for me. The back of this tube broke, so I'm working out of the back of this tube. So just so you know, whatever it throws at you, just kind of keep rolling with it. And this is the first coat of a couple. So this is going to be like the background we did. We spent, what was it, maybe 15 minutes, half hour on the background. We're going to spend maybe like an hour on this part, which is kind of like setting the stage. And then we're going to let it dry. Let's see, what time, does it say what time frame? Does my camera even say what time frame we're at here? Let's see. 30 minutes. All right, we're at a 30-minute mark, which is perfect. So I feel like it's going to give us a chance to add a couple of these flowers just to see where we want them. If we want them there. So I think a big yellow, warm, bright sunflower. Anniversary sunflower right there. Right, and that's I like that. And then there was a couple other flowers we sketched in, and sometimes I just practice doodling flowers. I'm not great at knowing what kinds of flowers they particularly are, although sunflowers are pretty obvious, and I know, I know those are have the black on the inside and the big yellow petals, but like there's tulips and roses and things that are red and things, and everything comes in different varieties and colors too. So I kind of feel like no matter what, like I'm gonna do a little red. Just loose. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. A couple loose strokes, and then maybe something in the middle, like a darker color in the middle. So like if we use like a dark purple or a dark blue or something like that. Right in the middle of this. Starts to build out that contrast, because that's what we're going to look for a little more on phase 3 after we're setting the stage. This is our setting the stage, and then our phase 3. Phase 1 is the background. Phase 2 is setting the stage. That was just a little dab on there. Phase 3 is details in contrast. That's what we're going to call it, details in contrast, because this will all dry, and then we could choose to do so many different things. We can add the highlights and the low lights, like the whites and the darks, and really if we want to do any little what is it called, like speckling, or like inside like a little bit of white inside the sunflower head. It's a little easier when it's dry, but let's just say, skipping ahead because I'm impatient, which also is a flower, right? Impatience. So now I feel like I'm in good company. But it's a little easier, but you could see sometimes you could start to speckle it a little bit here. I'll leave that on. And add a little highlight here and there, but that's going to be phase 3. This will kind of be phase 3. Maybe we'll add a cleaner yellow over some of that black, so there's a little bit of yellow and white pop and contrast, and maybe a little white edge, like leading along some of this red. But it's a little easier to manipulate it when it's dry, and when it's dry, I tend to then pick up another brush, a smaller brush, something maybe that's more suitable for the details. And because I'm holding this one, so I just keep going with this one until I stop. And that can be a little disadvantage sometimes, because sometimes like, oh, I should have switched to a smaller brush here or there or somewhere in between. And then I don't know, like here, maybe we get like a taller, like a purple. Ooh, I was just talking about that. What's the lilac? Is that like that tall purple? Let's say something like this. So let's take a little of that. Let's take a little of this. Where's this one here? So Oh, yes, this one, this lilac-y thing. I like this. Let's plant one of these right here. Do, 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 do. And this is just quick. It's quick. It's little dabs of paint. And we're not spending a lot of time worrying about the detail here in this phase. This is the setting the stage phase. So it's just kind of having fun with it, putting a couple random colors that we can easily remedy, take away, move, manipulate, change if we want to, or not. But there, we got this kind of nice lilac-y color. And you go in and you add, while it's wet, if you want to, and you're feeling like you're moving the brush nice and quick, add a little bit of the highlight in because it'll actually mix in with that purple. With that, what do they call it? Windsor Violet. I think that's what it's called. I got paint over the label. I think it's Windsor Violet. Right? So like that. There. So okay, so we've got one there, one there, one there. One here. What do we want here? Like I like sometimes there's these little blue flowers. No idea what they are, but there are these little blue flowers. Yeah, little blue flowers. Ooh, but I could do a let's see. Yeah, let's do that. Do a couple little blue flowers here. So let's just do like a squiggle my brush around. Squiggle my brush around. Leave a little spot in the middle. Is that enough? I think that might be enough. Let's do one more. Add a little height to that one too to build up. Look, we're gonna step up. See this? I don't know if I do this and then justify it or justify it and do it, but it's like, coming from here to stepping up to stepping up to stepping up. Starting off our new year, stepping things up. That's what we're going to say. And then orange. Love this orange color. Connor's orange. That's what I call it. And we're going to add a little orange center. A little orange heart to each one of those. So there. So then we got those. And then I think for this last milk bottle, small milk bottle vase, I think I want to do something looking back at this sunflower, but maybe, what's the one? Oh, it'll come to me. It's the one that has the yellow in the middle and the white petals. It'll come to me. Said flowers, not my strong suit. I love flowers, but I don't always remember the names of them. So then we have the yellow in the middle. So let's put the white like on the petals on the outside here. Like, is this too ambitious? Are we being too ambitious right now? YouTube family, I think we're being a little too ambitious. Let's see. We might be. Ambition's my middle name. No, it's not. Let's see here. And again, what's great is I'm not even going to sweat it because we're going to come back and do a lot of edits on this. We're going to edit this stuff. We have an artistic license, and it's been expired for a long time, so we're going to be able to do whatever we want. So we've that. Let's put a little yellow. Right in the middle here. Right, so that maybe these two wonderful flowers are looking at each other. Is it? Right, isn't it? Something like that. I don't know. Let's see. Look at all kinds of things beeping at me. All right. So we got that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's add the stems. So these guys can get a little water. Yeah, we've been using the same brush. It's about the 1-inch brush. It's about what it is. And it's just easy. It's easy to kind of get all these shapes in without being too precise or worrying too much or too little or not enough. I don't know. Don't worry about painting. This is fun. And the way that other people are going to see your artwork is way different than how you're going to look at it. That's what I tell people. Our job when we're doing this, if anybody wants to be out there painting with me, if you're out there painting along with me, or you want to try painting even a single milk carton, milk bottle, vase flower, um, don't worry about the looking at it part. Not your job. When you're holding the brush, your job is not the looking at it part. Your job is the doing it part. Art is a verb. Art's a verb, and your job is to have fun and let loose and be creative, surprise yourself, and at the very least, give yourself the background of the next great painting. That's what I always say if I'm like, worst comes to worst, I'll mess it up, and it'll be the background of my next favorite painting. But your job is not the looking at it part when you're holding the brush and the paint. Job is the doing it part. And frankly, that's the whole point of art. That's why it's around, was so that we could use it for our creative purposes, for our mental health purposes, and for our physical health purposes. I think there's so many benefits that it gives to us besides just being a colorful distraction. As you can see, we can kind of connect all these little guys up with a little extra greens here, and then just carry that one line down. And it can wobble, it can get thicker, we can add some color to it, we can add some Sharpie to it. We could do so many things to this one simple green stem. And here you can kind of see how our flowers are all taking shape, taking root. Is that a better flower analogy? Flower analogy? Flanalogy? And you can see how it's all, and so some of them even would have like little, again, we're getting too far ahead of ourselves here, but little spots coming off of the stems here. Like that. Then we could just clean our brush right on the canvas too. Sometimes I clean it on another canvas, another piece of just another piece of wood or something that I have around. But then we start to decide, make some decisions here. Now we're setting ourselves up. We're kind of seeing how this painting is going to play out. And it's like, well, some of this I want to dry, and the table, the book, we've got some really kind of cool things happening here. I like the book in gold. So if we wanted to add a little bit more gold here now, so we could let it dry, because again, we're going to spend another maybe 10 minutes or so on this, 10, 15 minutes, and then we're going to let it dry for an hour or two. We're going to let it dry. Maybe we'll brainstorm on what we think we're going to do for our next month, February, which is strength. We got hope in January, we got strength in February. And so when I'm doing something like this geometry for the book, and when I say geometry, it just means there's like the book cover has 4 lines, right? So it's like, in my world, simplifying, because I like to simplify things, rectangle, right? So it's at a weird angle, but when you think about it, it's still a rectangle. Even though we've tipped the angle, still perpendicular lines that are on the edges of the book, and still perpendicular lines that are on the top and the bottom of the book. They've just been skewed a little, but just as long as you kind of keep those matchy, you get that perspective. And so if we're doing the top of the book, the light, there might be a light source coming down at the top where it's a little bit lighter on the top of the book, from a overhead light or a lamp or sunshine, a window, something like that. So we might be getting a little, I don't know if saturated is the right word, but a little highlighted color coming through there. Again, precision is not our goal here. Well, fun is our goal. The doing it part is our goal. But we're just trying to get it to a place where we could take the next step. We're trying to just build one more plateau to take another step. And so then, we have the spine. The spine will be, maybe it's a little darker. Maybe it has this gold in it, but then it also has this. Let's not jump super far ahead and just go all the way, use our contrast and go black and white. Let's add a little blue maybe to it. Or like a Winsor blue. with a purple. Blue, purple. We have so many options, so many good options here. Let's go with the Winsor blue because we haven't used this one yet. A lot of times I'll paint with, I use a fairly simple color pattern, color palette. I'd say rainbow. If I was going to use a descriptor, I would say it's rainbow. But it's nice to mix all these colors together. There's some really, you could mix anything, which is fun. And then you could go buy all different kinds of cool metallics and all kinds of crazy, wacky, fun things, which is also part of the fun of it. So here, if I'm just going right up, I know where this is why when we roughed in where the bottles were going to go, we kind of know let's leave that edge just for now. We'll see what we do with it after, but let's leave the edge of that bottle as we're coming in and painting the spine here. Giving the spine a little. Let's leave, see how there's that white edge there. It's not all the way dry yet. Let's leave that. Let's leave as much as this green stem as we can. And then let's leave that back edge. Because that bottle's in the foreground, and something on that bottle, some part of that edge of that bottle is most likely going to catch the light and then project the edge of that bottle in front of that book. So you kind of know it's in front of that book. So let's just leave it there as a reminder to do that. And we sort of have this, now we've got this darker base color that we could put the spine on, that we could add a little more gold to if we want. And do we want to, yeah, we want to project it just past the vase. And this is where our blue, background blue, which again was just that relaxing cerulean blue, titanium white, opera rose. It starts to blend in a little bit because we've kind of now mixed the gold, the white, and the Winsor blue in with this kind of darker spine edge. And a little of that got lost on the back edge here. So we'll dial that back up with a little gold. Because the gold, too, when you paint over it, all this gets painted over. This is all going to get painted. Well, not all. A lot of this is going to get painted over as we apply our last quick coat in the next session. I'll probably stitch it all together in one video, but it's 3, full disclosure, I'm doing this in like 3 sessions. The first one, you said 15, 20 minutes, half an hour probably we spent while talking, because I talk too much, arguably. But it's nice. I like having company. I like having company in the studio, even when it's quiet here. So the first coat was like half hour, let's say. Second coat is this. Where are we at? We could check our time. We're probably at like, say 48 minutes. So say maybe another 5-10 minutes on this one. So let's say base color. I also like this. This is like a nice teal. I could pick this up when I was doing one of the workshops. Somebody had asked about a color like this, and again, you could mix. You could cobalt blue and green, and you could kind of come up with your own versions of these colors. But it's also nice when you're just in the flow and in the groove and in the moment when we're doing some of these workshops, just to roll with it, just to really have a lot of colors available for people, a lot of different options. And what's great is if we do, people use all the options. Everybody is super super creative and really will take chances and take like so many risks. I've been working with some patients now for so many years, and to see where they started from, which was like, oh, can you help me with this? And can you do this? And now just to see them absolutely take control and love the canvas and love their colors and have their own voice, their totally own, incredibly strong voice through art is like just my favorite thing. I never realized how much I would love that. Seeing people come into their own voice through art and have their own moments of healing and connection through art. I absolutely love that. And so sometimes it's just nice to have those colors ready for everybody. And so this is one of the colors. So I like that. So I'm using that, take that in from a paint night, and let's just take a little white and kind of make everything play together a little bit with the book here. So we'll go around the book, and you can kind of see it's feeling impressionist. It definitely has this. I never went to school for art or anything like that. I went to school for architecture. My dad was diagnosed with late stage cancer. He was my best friend. I was like, Dad, I was 21. I was like, I will run through a brick wall for you. What do you need from me? I will run through a brick wall for you. And he said, Jonathan, just stay positive. And I was like, well, what is number 2 or 3 or 4 on that list? Just in case number 1 falls through, I just want to be prepared. But you know what? He just wanted me to know that I was going to find these outlets, these resources, these moments, these places that kept me strong and kept me connected with him and kept me positive. And that's what he was saying, just stay positive. It wasn't so much so that I was positive for him, it was so that he knew I was going to be okay. And when I kind of came across painting, the gift of painting and what it gave me and how it connected me with everybody around us, with the care and support team and the nurses and patients and just everybody sitting in those waiting rooms with us, and how it has the ability, this artwork, this moving a color around a page and not getting it right or wrong and just having fun and opening up this conversation we're having, that this is one of the healing components that's so needed within anything we go through in life. And so when I realized it wasn't just helping me, that it was really affecting a lot of people in really positive ways, I understood how important it was to keep these voices going and to encourage as much of these voices being out in the world, advocating out in the world as possible. And so now it's amazing because so many of these colors, these brushes, these canvases, they all come from the workshop. So many of my ideas on these canvases now, what I do now, is so influenced by all of you guys, everybody who I've worked with, people who have come into my studio, given me suggestions, made me cool things, made me zines that help me see art in the world in new and different ways. It's just the greatest gift. Art's super special like that. And I think that for me, for most of my life, I'm like, oh, art's something you go to a museum and you look at. That's art. It's this very formal capital A. Art's this thing that I don't really connect with. And when I finally got the brush in my hand and I finally had the um, urgency and the trauma to have to connect to something that I needed healing from, I realized that it unlocked this more compassionate and and uh, joyful way of looking at life, that I can make the choice to color in my own way. And that's what my dad would always say to me. He said, Jonathan, you can't control the storm that rolls in, but what you can learn how to do is adjust your sails. That's what painting has become for me. It's just my ever changing, ever exciting, unexpected, connecting and hopeful way to connect with myself, with the people around me, with what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, and just to have fun doing it, to have a good time along the way. And I never really, it's really an incredible gift that unfortunately it took going through cancer with my dad. My mom's a cancer survivor too. One person I met somebody once, they said, well, cancer doesn't run and cancer doesn't walk in my family, it runs. So, we all have these challenges. We've all had health challenges and socio-emotional challenges and just really hard things that we've gotten through. You've gotten through it. You have gotten through the hard things, and you're going to keep getting through the hard things. And you can put these resources and tools in front of you as you need them, like painting, cooking, reading, spending time with family and friends, being outside, connecting with nature, appreciating all the little things in this very fragile yet incredibly resilient life and world we have. And it's nice because it all, for me, comes into nice clarity through art and through seeing how everybody expresses themselves through their own artwork and through the things that they love to do. So here we're going to add the 2025. Again, we're setting the stage. Today was a stage setting day, hour, just so we kind of knew where we were going to go. Just like we did with this canvas, gives us a sense of place. Then we can kind of see, we could fill in if we want a little more green in the table. If the table, is it like flaring out a little too large? Am I way overthinking this right now? Anybody who has comments on this, maybe I'm not overthinking it. Maybe you guys are like, yeah, this table should actually be way in here and the back line should be like there. Ooh, maybe it should be. Maybe it should be. Good idea, whoever just said that. But we'll adjust that. You know what? I'm going to sit on this. I'm going to sit on this for the night and come back to this, well, to the night. I'm going to sit on this for the next hour because it's like 4 in the morning. And I'm going to work on another painting that I'm doing as a donation for my good friends at Voices of Hope. They have their annual fall gala. They raise money for Mass General Hospital for the Tamir Center, which is an amazing organization within Mass General Hospital. And I love supporting them. So I'm going to take a break from this. I'm going to work on a rock and roll painting, maybe like Jimi Hendrix or something like that. And I'm going to come back to this in a couple hours. I'm going to flip the camera back on and we're going to put on the finishing touches. So let's think about this. We got our flowers all lined up. I kind of like how the overall sense is looking. We got some of the pages even started to take place in here. Again, you don't need a lot of detail, just the right detail in the right place, and people will get the idea. Our brains are pretty smart, turns out. And that's it. And then I'd say the one other thing that we would start to think about as we placed these in space on the canvas is just maybe giving them a little bit of a darker edge just now to see. The only reason I'm doing it now is just so that when we come back to put details on, we can kind of see how maybe a certain color, a darker color, a purple versus a black, might affect how we choose a background color or we choose a tabletop or tablecloth color. And so now if we have it on now, as it dries, it'll give us a little bit of a sense of what we're getting ourselves into. What am I getting myself into here? The amount of times I have to ask myself that question in a day is astonishing in the best way. So that's it. And then we'll add a little inside the vase too. So like it's got that look because it's sitting on the book. It's maybe got a little shadow underneath there, and maybe not. Maybe it's not as much as that, but why not? We had the color on the brush. Why not use it, right? So this has been stage 2, and stage 1 was the background. Stage 2 was mapping it out, setting the stage. And now stage 3, we'll do it in like an hour or two. We'll add a couple little details. Maybe we'll use a smaller brush, add some highlights and contrasts, maybe add some color and some details to the book, and a little bit more to the tabletop. And if we're feeling really adventurous, we could go in with these Sharpies. These Sharpies, my mom got me these creative Sharpie markers. Go super awesome over these acrylics. I did this one. I kind of got a little too excited about it because I added all kinds of stuff. But I can show you how this works just as well too. And it's just as fun to use all of these different platforms, mediums, whatever we got around us. So it's not about what you don't have and what you can't do. It's about what you got and what we could do with it. And I think we could do a whole lot. So this is January. This is almost done. We're almost done. I'm feeling this. January 2025. We're going to finish this up soon. And tune in. Stay tuned. Stay colorful. Stay hydrated. See you soon.